The volleyball season comes to a close, the Pittsburgh Riverhounds win big, and a former NFL star gets arrested? It's time to come on down to Pioneer Sideline. Good evening and welcome to Pioneer Sideline. I'm your host Matt Palangi, back for another week of sports news. We have all the Point Park and national news for you, as well as a discussion about the Pittsburgh Penguins. To start, MEI Dallas reports on how Point Park men's wrestling performed in their recent meet. Edmi?
That's right, Matt. This past Saturday, men's wrestling competed at the 2025 Shorty Hitchcock Memorial Open for their third event of the year. Freshman Aiden Burford continues to be a standout for the Pioneers in their inaugural season. Burford led the Pioneers in this Open with a 2-2 record after he won by fall in the round of 64 and a major decision in the round of 32. Two other Pioneers came out of the event with a win, Jacob Kerr picking up a fall victory in the round of 64 and Liam Hine by decision in the consolation round of 32 after recovering from a first-round setback. The next time Point Park will return to the mat will be after Thanksgiving break on Friday, December 5th for a tri-meet. The Pioneers will be up against Fairmont State and Wheeling University, marking their first official Mountain East Conference meet. Point Park will be going into this tri-meet with a clean slate in conference play, while Wheeling is in first in MEC standings with 2 wins and 0 losses, and Fairmont is in fourth with 1 win and 1 loss under its belt. So, good luck, Pioneers. Back to you at the desk, Matt.
Let's now recap the finale of Point Park Volleyball's second NCAA season. The Point Park volleyball season concluded last Friday in a home matchup versus Salem Tigers. Salem beat the Pioneers in their matchup earlier in the season, and Point Park was out for revenge on senior night. The night started off with a senior ceremony, honoring the academic and athletic achievements from 3 seniors. First, Marcela Ericion, who finished the game with 4 kills and 2 blocks. The next senior was grad student and transfer Alex Kuntz, who was a top performer in the matchup, and the final senior was the libero, Lily Marchant, who had 3 digs and 1 service ace on Friday. The Pioneers started off set 1 with an early lead, but the Tigers managed to take the lead back late in the set and win the set 25-23 on the back of number 1, Valentina Podi. Podi had 6 kills in set 1 alone and finished the game with 13, leading the Tigers. The Pioneers had an explosive bounce back in set 2 when the freshman, Avery Burgess-Rinnie, scored 5 of the team's first 6 points with 3 kills and 2 blocks. Pioneers squeezed the win out in set 3, but dominate in set 4 to end their season and senior night with a celebration and the final score of 3-1. Alex Kuntz finished her special night leading the team in kills with 11, tied with the season leader in kills, Nicole Riesbeck, who also had 11 kills. The transfer from Wheeling, Riesbeck, finishes the season with 287 kills, an impressive mark in her first Pioneer season. This 3-1 victory against Salem was the 4th and final win of the season and their first and only home win of the season. The Pioneers had a season full of struggle and finished with a disappointing record of 4-23, but gets a smile in celebration of a win and a celebration for the seniors. Now that's all for Point Park Sports, but what's happening in the week ahead? Winter sports are underway as women's basketball opens its regular season against Shippensburg and men's basketball premieres in Edinboro tomorrow evening. Women's wrestling competes in 2 meets at West Liberty this weekend, and women's basketball stays on the road to face Pitt Johnstown on Sunday. Tune in for more Pioneer updates right here next week, and as always, go Pioneers! After the break, local and NFL news that you don't want to miss. We'll be right back.
Take them cue and open their mics. Saturday marked the one-year anniversary of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette strike.
Point Park University just hosted a campus-wide meeting.
Plans for the rapid transit bus line are not set to conclude until 2025.
Welcome back. Now for what's happening locally, Ethan Van Dusen has an exciting update on the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Ethan?
Sure thing, Matt. The Pittsburgh Riverhounds solidified a date in the finals with FC Tulsa after winning their first conference championship in their 26-year program history. In a highly anticipated conference championship game against Rhode Island, Robbie Mertz kicked off the scoring with a beautiful goal 10 minutes into the match. The Hounds were able to maintain their 1-0 lead throughout the 90 minutes, thanks to goalkeeper Eric Dick, who matched his season high with 5 saves and recorded his 15th shutout of the 2025 campaign. The Hounds have the whole city of Pittsburgh on their backs as they look to continue their momentum to the league finals as they kick off this Saturday in Tulsa, Oklahoma at 12 p.m. However, the Riverhounds are encountering their toughest opponent of the postseason, as Tulsa was top in the league of Group B with 57 points. Riverhounds will have to keep a close eye out for star player Taylor Calhera, who is their most dominant player with 17 goals on the season. Riverhounds head coach Rob Vincent addresses this highly anticipated final as he quotes, "We're going to have to defend well again and hopefully not concede any goals, which will give us the best chance." The Hounds have remarkably only recorded 1 goal in their 3 postseason matches so far, so it's monumental for them to stay disciplined defensively and lean on their star goalie, Eric Dick. Now to NFL reporter Gabe Ebersell with his Week 11 update.
That's right, Ethan. Week 11 had some intriguing QB action around the league. On deck is the reigning MVP, but batting now is the newest Brown to take charge. The former Colorado Buffalo, Shedeur Sanders, steps into NFL action, playing the second half against the rival Ravens for an injured Dillon Gabriel. The highly anticipated Golden Arm Award winner found himself up 16-10 on home turf when taking over. Sanders' first drop back would yield his first NFL completion. Cedric Tillman catches for 5 ticks. The next toss to the tight end, complete to David Njoku over the middle, 2 for 2 so far. But the encouraging efforts from the 5th rounder started to quickly fade. Takes a drive-ending sack with the ball popping free. Hit as he throws, Nate Wiggins quickly ends the next possession, grabs the first INT off the rookie QB. Running low on time in a tight game, the next 3 drives, 0 for 5 passing, a 3rd down sack taken. And after Mark Andrews breaks the 16-all tie with a 4th down direct snap going to the house, it's perfect timing for a legendary comeback. 2.5 to work, Sanders opens the drive with his best play, a chunk connection to fellow first-year Harold Fannin for 25. Following that up, a 3rd down gelling with Jerry Jeudy to keep the chains and hope intact. And after trekking into territory to the Ravens' 25, the drive would stall out. 3 incompletions in a row collapses Cleveland, falling to 2-8 on the season with the 23-16 final. Tossed into the fire, the 144th pick posted 4 for 16 for 47 yards with an INT. He carried 3 times for 16 tallies, but took 2 sacks, negating 27 yards. A frightening 2.4 QBR and 13.5 passer rating for the performance. Sanders' first snaps following the unfortunate, long-standing theme at Q in Cleveland. Moving to the realm of the reigning MVP, Josh Allen caught Cam Newton. Career rushing touchdown 75 ties the most for a QB all time. Tampa Bay Bucks on the receiving end of Allen's second career 3 passing, 3 rushing TD game. Only man with even one of those so far in NFL history. Allen brings Buffalo out front early, heading across the goal line from the left side. Offensive fireworks all game from both squads. Allen also airs out 2 home runs to go the distance before the half. 40-yard passes put the Bills in the driver's seat by a single point. Connecting with Cook from quarter field distance, but the Bucks bounce back to take the lead in the 4th. The Wyoming product wrestles back to leverage on his own legs, taking the lead from 5 yards out. He heads in untouched. Extends upon that the drive right after, right side again. 9 yards out, Allen's NFL record-tying 75th career rushing TD is the game's final points. Generating 357 yards on 36 touches, Bills improved to 7-3. Allen's 3rd straight season with double-digit ground scores, the MVP moves different than the rest. Now at the top of the league in a historical list. The Bills are back at it Thursday night on Amazon Prime, taking on the Houston Texans. Bills, predictably, sit near the top of the AFC, but their usual counterparts, the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs, well, they're fighting to play past Week 18. Joining me now to talk about the struggles of the reigning AFC champs is Matt Palangi. Matt, good to have you here. We're talking about the Chiefs today and their massive struggles that they've had so far
out of the playoff picture as we speak, just dropped a pivotal divisional game to the Denver Broncos. How do you feel about their chances to make the postseason? We'll start with that.
You know, it's interesting because I think that it's hard to say no. That's the thing about the Chiefs is like I could realistically see them winning out, just making the playoffs still. I would say their odds are like near the 70 percentile, which is so high based on the fact that they don't have a winning record right now.
Right.
I don't think they're going to win the division, will be like the first time in 8 years, I believe.
Yep.
I think the Broncos essentially clinched that kind of with the win that they had over the Chiefs, but I would say that the Chiefs probably will still squeeze into a wild card spot, which is pretty dangerous when you think about it.
Okay, so I do agree with what you said about the Broncos basically clinching the division. I did think that the Chiefs would have to sweep the Broncos to take that division out of their hands, essentially. And what you said about the 70% chance to make the playoffs, Next Gen has them at about a 55. I kind of reside more with the 55 because just a little bit more leaning that way is how I'm feeling as well. Who do you think they're going to be competing with for these wild card spots down the stretch?
I see the Chargers falling off, so I don't think the Chargers. The thing is, the Ravens struggle with injuries. Let's be real, the Ravens are the best team in the AFC North. The Steelers have shown time and time again that they're not good enough to even get to a playoff win situation.
Right.
I 100% believe that the Ravens are the better team of the two, but they had no Lamar Jackson for a while. So they're going to have to bounce back, fire in the wild card spot. That's going to be a team and that's two teams that you don't want to see competing for a wild card spot, but I think the Ravens are the biggest one of that. And then I think the Jags realistically as well have a great chance. I know the Colts are probably going to win the division, but that Jags team who beat the Chiefs on the Trevor Lawrence slip, they look darn good right now. I can see the Chargers falling off and the Jags, the Ravens, and the Chiefs being the three wildcard teams.
I can see that as well. The Chiefs would have to go past, like you said, in the Ravens. The Steelers are the team I think also ends up in the wild card, with the Ravens having 2 games against the Steelers to really leapfrog them in that division. I would agree with that those are a lot of the teams that they're playing against. But what's changed this year so far, in your opinion, that has the Chiefs even in this situation? This is a dominant regular season team historically, and they have been just struggling, and every game has been a close one, it seems like. So what's changed this year to you?
You know what? I don't know. I think a lot of things changed in their offense when they got Matt Nagy out offensive coordinator.
Yep.
But the thing is like, Mahomes statistically is better than he's ever been with Matt Nagy this year. Like, he's having an MVP-like season. The last 2 years under Nagy, or the last 3, he kind of had down years statistically. They were squeezing out wins last year. So I think Matt Nagy's probably the biggest issue because the offense completely depleted once Matt Nagy became the offensive coordinator. But Mahomes is putting up statistically good numbers. I think there's just a lot of guys regressing. Their offensive line, Joe Thuney, going to the Bears, that probably hurt them a little bit. They just lost some guys, and they have guys that are aging. I think that's the simple truth, and Matt Nagy is not a good offensive coordinator.
I do agree that Matt Nagy is by far from a good offensive coordinator. But what I will say is that they have won with him in the past, and you know, Mahomes is looking his best under this season. You saw Rashee Rice getting suspended, Worthy getting hurt. You would figure them coming back at this time, the Chiefs would be just gearing up for a run. But since Rice has been back, they've lost both games, and it's been like close losses that they've been taking. And I think that's, in my opinion, where it's changed this year is this team can't win close games. They're 0-5 in one-score games, and this was a team that put together the longest run in NFL history of winning single-score games with 18. So for them to flip on their head like that and not be able to squeeze one out, to me, is the difference maker. But we're going to have to see how that falls. Make sure to come back every week to stay updated with the biggest news from the NFL. Next, we have more breaking sports news right after this short break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Now, Marcus Betts is here to preview an anticipated fight. Marcus?
That's right. After years of criticism over choice of his opponents, social media star turned boxing dynamo Jake Paul is set for his most severe challenge yet. On December 19th, 2025 in Miami, Florida, Paul will face British-born two-time heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua. The fight, a sanctioned heavyweight bout promoted by Paul's own MVP, Most Valuable Promotions, is scheduled for 8 3-minute rounds with 10-ounce gloves. It represents a massive physical undertaking for Paul, who has never competed above 227.5 pounds. Joshua, a former unified champion, weighed 252 pounds for his last fight and will be coming in at a prepared 234 pounds for this bout. The age difference is also stark, with 27-year-old Paul facing a 36-year-old veteran, a detail that further fuels the criticism that Paul has yet to prove himself against a prime elite-level fighter. Joshua, who is 28-4, as well as a 2012 Olympic gold medalist, did not hold back in his assessment of the matchup, stating, quote, "I'm about to break the internet over Jake Paul's face." Paul has faced endless questions about his credibility after a resume that includes fellow YouTubers, a celebrity match against former NBA player Nate Robinson, and legends well past their prime, like Anderson Silva and Mike Tyson. Responding to the critics, Paul stated, quote, "This isn't an AI simulation. This is Judgment Day." He also added, "I think people just want to see me lose. That's the main message behind it all." Now to Layla Shervan on a recent arrest of a former star. Layla?
The NFL spotlight has turned on one of the most controversial people in recent NFL history. Antonio Brown is making headlines once again, but this time for some serious life-changing allegations. In May of this year, Brown was involved in an incident involving gunfire outside of an amateur boxing match in Miami. He claimed that he was jumped by multiple people who were trying to steal his jewelry. During the altercation, Brown pulled a gun and let off 2 shots. For the past 6 months, Brown has been in Dubai collaborating with multiple crypto and digital asset platforms, youth football development, live streaming, and digital media. Up until November 7th, Brown had been great until later that day he was extradited, taken to New Jersey, and later taken back to Miami. The warrant for his arrest was placed on June 11th, and the police were able to track him down because of a post Brown put on X saying Yacht Day, accompanied by a 37-minute video of him and a friend in a convertible and him and his family on the boat. Kimberly Rivera, a prosecutor on Brown's case, stated, quote, "Brown was aware of the charges pending and was supposed to surrender," end quote. This caused extra charges in Brown's case and can ultimately lead him to 30 years in prison for the attempted murder. As of right now, Brown is on a $25,000 bond, wearing an ankle monitor, and awaiting his trial. Now to Ryan Thiele reporting on a recent hiring in college football. Ryan?
You got that right. Virginia Tech is on the verge of a major coaching change. As sources tell ESPN, the Hokies are finalizing a deal to hire James Franklin as their new head coach. Franklin, who has spent 12 seasons at Penn State and 3 at Vanderbilt, bring a career record of 128 wins, 60 losses, highlighted by a Big Ten championship in 2016 and a college football playoff semifinal appearance last year. He would replace Brent Pryor, dismissed in September after an 0-3 start and a 16-24 mark over 4 seasons. The move comes as Virginia Tech's board of directors recently approved a $229 million boost to the athletic budget, signaling a renewed commitment to restoring the prominence of the program. If the deal is completed, Franklin will become the Hokies' most accomplished coach since Hall of Famer Frank Beamer, who retired in 2015, ushering a new era built on his recruiting ties along the I-95 corridor and his proven track record of winning. Back to you at the desk, Matt.
And that is all for your national stories this week. Finally, we debate the future of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. The Pittsburgh Penguins, after missing the playoffs 3 straight years, are now off to a solid early season start. But will this brand new coaching staff be able to get this team back to the playoffs and potentially all the way to the Stanley Cup? I'm Isaac Graves, and I'm joined by Ryan Jones, Ryan Thiele, and Ethan to discuss how far this Penguins team can go. All right, so Jonesy, I want to hear from you first because you talk about this stuff all the time. You analyze the Penguins more than I think any of us do. So what are your thoughts?
Okay, so the first thing that I want to go off of is you have to backtrack a little bit to 2016. Now, and you can compare these completely two different years. That's almost 10 years apart, and they look pretty similar. Now, if you look back then, we got a new coaching staff. What happened this year? We got a new coaching staff. And what led to it? A Stanley Cup. We started off the year with half of our team being injured. We have over, at a point, 10 guys, including guys who are on the bus and scratched. They are injured. If you also look at the way they're going, they're looking kind of inconsistent. They've had a few off games. They're back and forth, sitting about third in the Metro, moving about 1 to 2 spots up and down, both vice versa. They won a Stanley Cup. So this team has looked better than they've looked, obviously, the past 3 years when they've missed the playoffs, but better than they've looked since 2016. Now, and I also believe that the Penguins, the reason that they are Stanley Cup contenders this year is because they have to be. They're only getting older. The big three is only getting older. And Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, and Chris Letang are playing the best hockey that they've played since 2016. And again, they won a Stanley Cup that year, in fact, back-to-back. This team looks fantastic, and they have a chance of doing it.
And I see what you mean, but you want to...
Yeah, so I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to back you with some stats. We are 9th right now in the NHL with wins, 6th in total points, 9th with 62 total goals, with a goal against average, a goal against with 47. That's 3rd in the league, and we have a 2nd in differential. We haven't been like that, I agree, since 2016. This is the best this team looked overall. The defense, yes, a little shaky at times, but we're injured in defense at the moment. And goalies, Miroshov came up, shut out in his second game. We haven't seen a goalie like that since Matt Murray back in 2016. Bring that right back. Everybody young goalie, what did we do that year? We won the cup. So all this momentum we're having, this coaching staff, I feel like we can sustain that down the stretch when we really need this team to play well.
Yeah, Ryan, on your point, I get hockey's a very superstitious game, but that's a bit of a stretch there. For me, when I look at good teams, they're able to beat the easy teams in the regular season. But the best teams are able to dominate the best teams in the league during the regular season. And for the Penguins, unfortunately, they have not done that to start this year. They're only beating the easy teams, but the hardest teams that they've played, they've lost to all of them. You look at the Maple Leafs, the Ducks, you look at the Devils, you look at the Kings, they've lost to all of them. And their 2 best wins are against a Panthers team without Matthew Tkachuk and Alexander Barkov, and a Kings team who, by the way, they've already played twice, but without Anze Kopitar, Darcy Kemper, Warren Foegele, and Corey Perry. Those are 4 pivotal players for the Los Angeles Kings. And arguably their best player statistically is Malkin, and he's on pace to get 99 points. Like so far, the Penguins have kind of ride or died with him. He's been predominantly most of their offense. So if he kind of falls off, I think the Penguins' offense will fall off as well.
Yeah, well, one thing I want to, sorry, Ryan, but one thing I want to kind of go towards is when you say they can't beat the best teams. 2 of those teams, they were shootout losses. And, of course, a shootout does not dictate how well the team has played throughout the full 60 minutes. Did we get to the shootout? We got a point. That's what we need to do. And towards the end of the year, when you need those points, that's what you got. So they were shootout losses. So you don't even, yeah, there were losses, but you don't even want to look at that and say that was a bad thing. Also, 2 of our top 5 best players are hurt, and they are still hurt, and we're able to take those teams into a shootout as well. So I wouldn't even take that into retrospect whatsoever.
Well, all the losses that you've conceded this year were with a healthy team. You've kind of hit the injury bug the last week and a half, but those games came way before you got injured.
I would disagree. We hit the injury bug about a month ago, and we've, all those losses been in the shootout, which can come down to coaching of having a goalie that's not used to playing in the shootout. And come playoff time, like what we're talking about, there's no shootout. And the way we're playing hockey right now is best as 5-on-5. And that's what we're going to get come playoff time. So that's why I feel like that we could make sustainability to be in the cup this year. And you brought up Malkin. I think he is going to keep this up all year. Now, is he going to drop off halfway through the year like he normally does? Yes. But I feel like he can pick it back up and get back on it because this is his last year. And he wants to win the cup for the last year with the 2 people who he entered in the league with and who he wants to leave the league with. So there's so much momentum and story behind this team that I don't see them not doing anything special this year.
What's the most important period in hockey? It's the third period. We saw the Penguins give up a lead against the Ducks in the third period. We saw the Penguins give up a lead against the Capitals. Luckily, they were able to finish it off and win. And we saw them blow a 3-0 lead in the third period to the Maple Leafs. You got to have that clutch factor if you want to go far in this league, and I haven't seen it from the Penguins so far.
Yeah, but you got to think about it this. Those are not playoff teams, right? And yes, some teams have playoff experience, but you look at the Leafs. They can't even get by the second round to save their life. The Ducks, they got a bunch of young kids. And the Capitals, it's the Capitals. I mean, that explains it. They haven't been good since 2018, and they're not going to be good for a long time.
If you're giving up leads against non-playoff teams, what's going to happen when you actually play playoff teams?
Well, when you get to the actual playoff teams, is because we have that playoff experience. A lot of people are resorting towards their younger guys, and yes, we finally got some young legs in that locker room, but there's no team in the NHL that is a playoff experienced team like the Pittsburgh Penguins. And when they're going to be able to get through that year and hopefully get to the playoffs, which I believe that they're on pace for, and I think we could all understand that, is they're going to be able to take it farther than a lot of people are even going to think.
If I may, I will say I agree with I understand where all of you are coming from. I think the Penguins, nothing will surprise me this year. They could completely fall off, as much as that hurts to say, and they could miss the playoffs by like 20-something points, or they could be top of the division. It really, it's an 82-game season. There's a lot of hockey left to play. I worry that they're not going to be able to keep up with teams like the Devils or the Canes, who are leading the Metro Division, and the Eastern Conference as a whole has a lot of good teams. The Atlantic Division on the other side of the Eastern Conference is a little kind of it's mishmashed right now, but there's a lot that can happen. Teams are just starting to hit game 20.
Yeah.
Let me interrupt you. So you said you're worried about us keeping up in our division. We don't need to win our division to get in. The point of
I'm not saying we need to win our division.
I'm just saying we just got to get in there. Once we get in there, we're that team that no one wants to see come playoff season, in my opinion. If we get a little momentum leading into it, just like we did in 2016, we got real hot 2-3 weeks before the playoffs, and then we came that dark horse team that no one thought was going to win. And what did we do? We went back to back.
You were also a lot younger, though.
Yes,
I mean, age does
we
play a
are
factor.
getting younger, and we got guys in Wilkes-Barre right now who could probably be up on the main roster whenever Dan Muse decides, hey, it's your turn to come up.
And I'd have to agree with that, too, because we also did have a lot of age. You had guys like Cullen, and you had guys like Daly, who are top five players on that team. Guys like Phil Kessel, who was rounding their years.
And Ian Cole, too.
Right. You had all these guys. The older guys are playing the best and have played the best on this team, and that veteran presence is going to take not only the first and second line, but all the way throughout the lineup, and that's how they're going to show that they're going to be able to push throughout the playoffs.
Now here's the thing. Here's the underlying factor in all of our arguments. Goaltending. They had Matt Murray in 2016. Right now, it's kind of a goaltender crisis. We don't know who's going to be in there for the playoffs or even for the far stretch of the season. And you look at the teams, the contenders around the league, they all have a really good goalie, you know? Every single team that was competing in the playoffs last year, outside of the Edmonton Oilers, had a very outstanding goalie. And so far, that's a big question mark for the Penguins.
So we jump in on that. Mm-hmm. So you're bringing up the goalie. 2016, 2017, we had Fleury and Murray. Mm-hmm. We had that tandem going all year. What can't say we can't do that now? We got Miroshov, who's shut out within his second game, which is next to unheard of in this age of NHL play. And then you can throw in Jari, throw in anybody else, or even Blomqvist, come up, ride the two young guys. We have so much potential.
But you're just saying that we're going to throw out random guys. Those are
no, but that's what we've been doing all year, though. We've been able to cycle through those three guys.
Fleury and Matt Murray were stars back then.
Unfortunately, I do have to cut you guys off there. That is all the time that we have for this week. Be sure to join us next week at the same Pioneer time, the same Pioneer channel, and the same Pioneer Sideline.